First, Cavs playing tonight. It's a national TV game. Milwaukee Bucks in town. Second meeting between the two teams in the last week or so. And joining us to talk about that game and everything that's going on with the Cavs riding a two-game losing skid, it's our Cavs beat reporter, Chris Haynes. What's up, bud?
Fedor, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man. You could have picked anybody for this show, and you picked me. So I very much appreciate it.
You're always first, Chris. There's no question about that. So with the Cavs riding this two-game losing skid, they're still 8-3 on the season. So I'm guessing it's too early to classify something as being a worry for you. But what have you seen in the last couple of games, or in the first 11 games, we should say, that might be a little bit alarming to you when it comes to the Cavs, Chris?
Well, the alarming thing is the fact that they have been playing down to a level of competition pretty much the entire season. There have been a couple of games where there's been exceptions. The game in Memphis sticks out to me right now. But, you know, they've been able to get away with victories surely on talent, based on they have the best players on the court on most nights. And I think that these last couple of games have shown that, hey, if you continue to play with fire in that manner of going out there playing with complacency, a lack of effort, that you can't get burned. And Detroit, Milwaukee proved that the Cavs aren't invincible, even in the inferior Eastern Conference. So, and I think that's why LeBron and David Black has been getting on this team so much over the last couple of days, questioning their toughness, questioning how hungry they are. So we'll see how the team as a whole responds.
What did you make, Chris, of the other night in Detroit, LeBron James singling out Golden State and kind of comparing the Cavs to the Warriors?
Because that's the ultimate team. And it looks like Golden State has separated themselves from the pack, not just the pack of the Western Conference, but the pack of the league. And if the Cavs are to get to the finals, and that's also that team that beat them in the finals this past, in June. So that's the measuring stick. That's why Golden State was pointed out, for multiple reasons. And, the Cavaliers probably within that locker room are thinking, hey, they're headed that way anyway. That's what everybody's writing. That's what we're all saying. The Eastern Conference is a joke. There's nobody in that conference that can compete with them. They're going to slide all the way down to the finals with no problem. And LeBron, and that might be true. But once they slide all the way to the finals, then what? Because coming up short again in the finals, that's not considered a good season anymore. Last year it was because LeBron's message was patience, like first 3, 4, and 5 months. Patience. Then they got to it. Now it's like, okay, we're here now. Now you're expected to win. The ante is up. So I think that's why you single out Golden State.
If you go back to those comments that LeBron made, I was trying to think about this the other day. There had to be a specific player that he was targeting with those comments, and that's kind of how he has operated in the past, and he hasn't revealed the person's name, but you can kind of read between the lines and say, okay, I know who he's talking about there. When he made those comments against Milwaukee and then against Detroit, who do you think he was referencing when he was talking about, hey, we lost in the finals. We didn't win in the finals. We lost in the finals, and they're playing with more effort than us. Was there a particular player that you think he was targeting with that?
I don't know if there's a particular player. I will say this. Let me break out a story from that Milwaukee game. So LeBron, he says what he says after Milwaukee, that we're not who we think we are and all that. He was mad. He was upset. So I go over and talk to him and just chat. And he's telling me, see, man, we think we're something that we're not, man. We can't keep doing this, man. Guys got to start playing with effort. Guys got to start doing that. And so we're talking. This is all off the record. We're talking, chatting. And then Mo Williams comes and walks by and walks to his locker. And LeBron just stares at him.
What?
Just follows him. And I was like, what was that all about? And he just stared at him, following. And Mo could see, I can tell Mo could see LeBron looking at him, and Mo didn't really pay him no mind. He continued to get dressed. But I don't know. That's something that stood out to me as something I saw. And then, after the game, that's when we realized that Mo and Kevin Love were the two players that were calling for a timeout. And I think that they might have found out about that, because you have to remember when Mo and Kevin Love, when they were on the bench at that time, they might have been called a timeout to try to get back in the game, because that was for maybe they were thinking that was an offensive defensive substitution pattern, because Coach Black had Dellavedova and somebody else in at that time. And so that might, it wasn't just the assistant coaches, but the players, they might have had a motive to try to get back in that game, and that kind of spoiled the transition fast break that the Cavaliers would have had. So I don't know to answer your question, but I just kept my feet on the sideline in the background, and it stood out to me.
Chris, I know you had a recent conversation with Iman Shumpert. When he's not putting out some new music, he's obviously rehabbing. He's cheering on his teammates. He's trying to get himself back in shape where he can help this team. And obviously, we've talked about toughness being an issue with the Cavs at the beginning of the year, and defensive intensity being an issue with the Cavs at the beginning of the year. He embodies those kinds of things. Is a mid-December return for Iman something that's realistic given his injury, Chris?
Yeah, it is. He's looking good. And like I said, I was told, I wrote in that story that, man, it's hyperbole, but I'm told he's breaking records when it comes to how fast he's progressing. And he's trying to get out there as soon as possible, man. And he mentioned that mid-December date. If he can get at that point, he's going to give it a try. Now, at that, you have to keep in mind that the Cavaliers also have a say. And Shump may say, hey, I'm ready December 15th. The Cavs may say, hey, man, let's hold you back. Let's wait at least till Christmas. So he still has that hurdle to get by. But he's looking good, man. I mean, his left hand, he's doing a lot of drills, like I said, with left hand. This week, it might have even happened already, but this week he's starting to have, to be able to do some things with that right hand. So, but definitely his grit, his toughness is something that the team needs. It's definitely going to help. You just wonder if Iman's style of play is going to trickle down to the rest of everybody else.
Chris, going back to the effort and the toughness thing, how much of that is on the head coach? Because there have already been some changes around the NBA. Yesterday, there was the big news about Houston letting go of Kevin McHale, and I'm not saying that David Blatt's even close to walking that line, but when you talk about effort, when you talk about toughness, when you talk about intensity, how much of that comes from the head coach?
Well, some of it does, because the players, they play for the coach. They play for themselves, most importantly, but the coach's voice definitely is a factor. Mm-hmm. But what I will say about this is that this is night and day. This doesn't even compare to the Houston situation, because they weren't even paying attention. They weren't giving effort at all. This is a Cavs team who just fall. Anybody, superior teams or players, they fall victim to that, falling victim of playing down to a level of competition. Yep. So I don't think this is anything, on Black. This is just the reality of that they're playing in the Eastern Conference, man, and which it's a joke. It's a joke of a conference, if you ask me. And so, I think it's more so to that. And it's going to be up to not only Coach Black, but everybody else. LeBron, he's trying to get these guys up for it, because it's a long season where you're playing, the Bostons of the world, the Indianas, it's bad. And so they have to fight that. And like I said, we'll see if they can do it.
All right, Chris, good stuff, man. We'll see you tonight at the game.
All right, my guy. Take care.